This is the last episode in the third season of the original series of Star Trek. We review it in a moment. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd. Of course, we're talking about Turnabout Intruder. Turnabout Intruder is basically the story of Dr. Janice Lester, who met Kirk at Starfleet Academy, I think. One of the few people that's met the captain and didn't die by the end of the episode at the Academy. At any rate, she was not officer material, I suppose, with Starfleet. She would never be a ship's captain because she was a woman. This is something that in the 23rd century just does not happen. Only men like James Kirk can be a captain of a starship. Now, by the time the movies came out, of course, there were plenty of women captains. But at this time, they decided that wasn't proper because, of course, women are not rational. Women are not heroic. Women are hysterical. And every other stereotype that you could throw at them in the late 60s. Now, I perhaps am being too judgmental looking at it from the 21st century, from 2024, and the way that people considered in the media women was not really people who would take on executive positions. Now, this is not exactly true because there have been officers in the military that are women way back. But the fact remains that we really weren't far from Mad Men era when this episode was made. Still, while Star Trek generally tried to think more in futuristic type of societies where we have overcome prejudice and hate and money, this stands out as kind of off. Interestingly, that Gene Roddenberry wrote the teleplay for this, not the original story, but he wrote the script for this, and I'm disappointed. Now, everybody knows what kind of skirt chaser Roddenberry was during that time. Roddenberry, of course, wasn't the most sexually enlightened person anyway. While he was married, he was still having an affair with Majel Barrett and Nichelle Nichols at the same time. So we're probably, he is not the person to be the spokesman for women's equality. Nevertheless, and of course, he had a penchant for being there at all the fittings to make sure that the skirts were short enough and the clothes were tight enough and they were revealing enough within television standards to meet his way of presenting women in the future. Now, in other planets, there are often women leaders, and they've pointed that out, but all they needed was to have a night with Kirk and change their whole lifetime of training and indoctrination in order to see the Federation way of doing things. Okay, not to say that Star Trek has ever had a real good score as far as how they've treated their women, even though they do have, visibly Lieutenant Uhura on the bridge. She is technically a command officer, but once again, everybody else is a yeoman or a nurse or something like that. They have a few people, a couple of doctors, a couple of psychiatrists that they've shown through the years, but their score is not good on that. And it's a shame that they have to end the series on this, which is a bottle show. It was a very budget-conscious production. Everything was done on the ship or one set that wasn't, and there were various... Well, the only special effect is where they were superimposing negative images of themselves over each other. And other than that, there wasn't a phaser fire or anything that showed a beam or anything that needed any kind of elaborate special effects. And so it was a very simply done episode. And it seems that they could have paid a little more attention to the story as a result. The performances... I thought were good by McCoy, DeForest Kelley, by James Doohan, by Leonard Nimoy. I thought perhaps that Shatner overplayed playing a feminine role, basically pretending to be a woman pretending to be him, which is kind of a stretch for any actor, But and I think in some ways he pulled it off as far as body language and things like this. In the way that the script was done, I suppose there was not much choice than to be hysterical and erratic and fairly undisciplined. Whereas the actor that played Janice Lester as Kirk basically just read the lines. I didn't see her put any characterization into it at all. And, there could have been some emulation of Shatner, who's had been on the air for almost 3 years by this point, that anybody that watched television might have been able to do, if not an impression, certainly more of an idea of what a guy in a woman's body would be, especially Kirk. That said, this is another one of those that was probably rushed out just so they could get it done. They knew the show was over. I don't think that they really cared much after that point. I think they probably pulled up an old script that had been rejected some time back and threw it in because it just needed one more. And it's a shame. Had they put in with All Our Yesterdays or with The Doomsday Machine or City on the Edge of Forever or anything else, I think it would have been a better show. Anything would have been better. Heck, I guess if you put Spock's brain there, it might have been a better place to put that. Anyway, if you're going to have a last show, and maybe they didn't know it was their last show, but I can't imagine that they didn't think so. I would have at least just done a clip show if they wanted to save money, and they would just take some good scenes out of other things and have done that. I think that would have been what I would have done. But then I'm here in a garden shed doing a video, and they're big-time Hollywood producers and directors, so what do I know? Anyway, what it does is that it concludes our reviews of the entire original series, and we'll keep them up on YouTube, so you can refer to them whenever you like. And if you will subscribe, we do have some other things coming. Discovery starting next week. We also have, in about a month, Doctor Who starting up its new so-called first season. And then we have other things that will be approaching us that we will be covering. We're not going to do yet another retro review until we know what the new shows are going to be through the summer, but I imagine by midsummer we'll find something else to do in this slot. We'll be moving some things around so we can accommodate some of the new shows. I know that the new Discovery show will probably come down on Thursday, so we'll have a Friday review on that, and that'll probably move the Babylon 5 review to another day. And when Doctor Who comes down, it'll be on a Saturday. We'll probably have that as a Monday review. So that's up and coming. So thank you for following us on this original series Trek. We did enjoy the most part of it. I think that even in the third season, which was considered generally bad, I think that probably more than half of the episodes were good. Not great. There might have been a couple of pretty good ones, but the dogs were less than half, and that's better than my memory provided. So I think, though, that overall, the show is deserving of its reputation. And, of course, the fact that it's launched 1,000 ships by now says something. So thank you for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with a Bad Batch episode, and then on Friday with Babylon 5, and then next week we will bring Discovery, their first episode in review to you at that time. So I hope that you will subscribe and stay with us on the channel. Click a like if you will, and we look forward to talking with you again. Until then, don't go far.